So, Brother Mickey, so we're up to speed now with the election and the results of the election. Obviously, it's been a stolen election, and it has brought, if I understand correctly, the tribe that has felt that they have done wrong is escaped mistreatment, and they're ending up in the Kuru, basically your backyard, and there's an insurgent build of those who are now revolting, and it's building to the place of violence. So where we were at, I thought maybe one thing that might help is to understand your church, and that is that it's built quite a bit like a compound almost.
Right.
I mean, the whole place is walled, right? And so when people escape into your church, there's somewhat a protection, and then your church building itself is very protective. If I recall correctly, there's bars on the windows, yes, and on the doors, and so people are now beginning to flee to your church. You're sending the message, come to the church, and because you have a vehicle now, you're beginning to be called upon for duty.
Right, and just being there in person, it kind of helps the story a lot for us. Is seeing that the church that was the other tribe was right next to. I mean, it's probably less than 20 yards away. Yes. And there's a lot of population around your church. And then the other also thing that we learned a lot about there was the police officers there. We had an encounter with them, but they don't.
We almost ended up arrested in that encounter.
Pastor wasn't wearing a seatbelt. But it's not like here in the States. They don't. We used to maybe we've seen one or two police cars. It's just police officers on foot. So it's not like you can just call the police department. And they'll be there in a minute, like they are here. So seeing it in person was a lot. It kind of opened our eyes to the story of how real the story is and how serious it can break out when there's no one to come.
Sure. Amen.
But you were talking about we left off the last story there. If you'll kind of just pick up there, and we'll start back from the where you ended there.
Sure. People were calling, needing rescued, and so. Not only our church, but we have sister churches in town that were started out of our church. Mm-hmm. And so all day long I'm doing that. And sometimes the calls would come so frantic. One lady called and said, "Pastor, they're killing the neighbors. They're coming here next. Please come." We're trying to coordinate, tell them, jump out the window, we'll meet you here, we'll meet you at this place. And so this is what we're going on. And myself, I had a bit of freedom of movement because this was a tribal thing, okay. And unless they viewed me as taking sides,
right,
that's something different. So I did have a little bit more of freedom of movement, and most people are on foot. I'm in the vehicle, and so we're doing this, and at the same time, I'm thinking my family's here. Okay, although we weren't targeted, but we were living right here.
Right.
Okay, we're right in the middle of it, and this is going on, and man, my heart is torn because our people are. I mean, what's happening to them, and my family and small children are there, and I was having a hard time. I mean, I was struggling like I'd never struggled before, and my wife saw it. And she came to me in the evening and she said, "We need to talk." She said, "I have one request. If you stay, we all stay. We've been in this together as a family. I don't want to be separated."
Wow.
When my wife said that, there was a load lifted off of me. Because I knew I was supposed to stay. You got to understand that I'm getting phone calls now, and emails and texts from all over the world. Because this is on the news all over the world. People in the United States are seeing this.
Wow.
My family is seeing this. My church is seeing this. Supporting pastors are seeing this. Of course, they knew about the election. We were sharing about it in our prayer letters and all of that. And I'm receiving phone calls and messages saying, "Brother Mickey, get your family out of there. Pastors are calling me and saying, "Why are you still there?
Wow.
Your family is most important." Now, my pastor wasn't doing that, but I was getting that from people. But I just believed and knew that I was supposed to be there. But I did know that I have a responsibility to my family. And so when she said that, there was a burden lifted off of me. And we made the decision to stay. Now, again, if my family was being targeted, it would have been different. Okay, but they weren't. Okay, not that there wasn't danger, because there was, but. And so I would leave early in the morning, and I'd go out and leave my family at home, and they'd see all of this was going on, and they're worried, of course, what's happening. And at the church building now, there are hundreds of people there, and we're feeding them and taking care of them, and people are coming and going, and we're trying to keep them safe, trying to figure out what we're going to do, because this is just now erupting, all over the place in our town. While this is going on, these people that are attacking, they're being fed and taken care of and housed by people in our community who are coordinating this. Members of our church, without us asking them, they're just doing it on their own. The people in our church that are of the tribe that was safe in our area, they began hiding church members in their homes. Oh. Come stay with me. You'll be safe here. Keeping them hidden from these people that are attacking.
And if they would have been caught doing this,
yeah, it would have been.
They would have killed everybody.
Well, if they had been caught, they probably wouldn't have immediately done that. But if they wouldn't have given the people up,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So they're risking their
Yes,
families.
they're taking a great risk,
Right.
Absolutely. And so, as this is all going on, and I mean, if I could just pause for a moment and say, never in my life have I ever felt the presence of God like I did during those days. There was a peace that settled over me like I've never felt again in my life during those days.
Wow.
It was as God said, "I'm here with you," and He made that clear and evident to me. I got in the vehicle and we went out to rescue somebody, and they're setting roadblocks up all over the place, because what they're doing is while this is happening, people are traveling through Nakuru. You have to go through Nakuru to get anywhere in the country,
Okay.
up country or to Nairobi. So people are in vehicles and buses traveling from different parts of the country, not knowing what's happening. And so they're stopping them, these buses, when they get to Nakuru in roadblocks, and they're pulling people off the buses and killing them in the street.
Wow.
Based upon their tribe. My children stood in our compound and watched as buses are being stopped in the highway and people are being pulled off. They're watching as houses are going up in flames all around them, knowing that some of those houses that are going up are people that they know, children that they go to church with. And it's just all over. So I'm out to the other side of town to rescue somebody that needed help. And I'm waiting. We had coordinated a place for them to come to meet. And I'm sitting in my vehicle, the windows down, watching. I'm watching as these buses are being stopped and people are riding all around. I'm pulled off to the side, on the side, my windows down, the engine's running so that I could take off at a moment's notice. And somebody snuck up behind the vehicle that I didn't see coming, with a machete. And my arms out the window, I'm looking around, and at the last moment in my mirror, I saw them as they're swinging this machete at my head.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
And I gunned the vehicle, and it hit the side of the vehicle, and it missed me. Because this is a person who realized what I was doing. That's how it was going on. That's the type of stuff that was happening. Another time, we came to a roadblock that hadn't been there moments before, and this group of people caught somebody and threw him down on the road right next to my vehicle, and took big stones and boulders and smashed his head in and killed him right next to my vehicle. And this is going on all over the place. Unbeknownst to me, there was an older young man that was walking through the side of the road in the ditch, trying to evade being seen. That was the son of one of our church members that saw that happen. He's an assistant pastor in our church now. Years later, after he got saved and started growing the Lord, he got up. I had never told that story to anybody, and he got up and told the church, "This is what I saw. I saw Pastor Mickey here, and this is what he was doing, and I saw them take that guy, and they did this," and he saw the whole thing take place. As he was hiding. But this is what's been going on now. It's going on all over the place. So now as this is going on, I begin to receive word from people that there's some discontent in the community about Pastor Olo. Again, his name is of this other tribe. Many people in the community think he's of that tribe. But more than that, he's got people that he's protecting in the church building, the ones that they're looking for. So I begin to receive messages from people in the community, because understand, not everybody's involved in this. There's a lot of people that want this. Okay, but you know how it is. It just takes a few. And what they were doing is they're bringing people in from other parts of the country, to do this. So, but people that live there, they may not have always been involved in the violence, but they were pointing out who people were so these people could get them. And so I began to receive messages that they've decided that they needed to do something about that pastor. And they're writing me and they're saying, "Listen, Pastor Mickey, you probably better get him out of there, because they're planning on killing him." Now, as I'm receiving those messages, I thought, you know what? Maybe we do need to hide him somewhere. Let one of our men who are of that tribe kind of take care of the people in the church building. So I went to him. Now, we had already hidden his wife in our home. We had his wife and some other ladies that were more of a target. They were in our home. We had hidden them.
Now they were hidden because they're of the different tribe.
They were a target. They were of the tribe that was being searched for. And so, again, Pastor Olo, he's out helping people. He didn't have time. He couldn't take care of his wife that way. So they were hidden in our home. And I thought, well, let me take Pastor Olo. We'll hide him there also. And I went to him. I says, hey, we need to take you somewhere and hide you. And he's like, no. He goes, I'll be all right. This is my place. This is where I need to be. And of course, he wasn't out there seeing what I was seeing. Okay, he's hearing things and he knows things that are going on, but I'm out there and I'm seeing what they're actually doing to people. But he's very adamant, no, this is my place. I'm going to stay. So we go on, we're doing this, but the warning messages keep coming, and they're getting more dire and more specific. So I go back to him. I said, Pastor Olo, please, I beg you, you've got to come with me. They're going to kill you. And I showed him some of the text messages I was getting, the warnings. He looked at them quietly, handed me my phone back, and then he just reached his phone and handed me his phone. And he shows me messages that he's getting. Imagine getting messages from your neighbors telling you what they're going to do to your wife when they catch your wife. She is 6 months pregnant. What they're going to do to your unborn baby when they catch your wife. I handed his phone back to him, and he looked at me. He said, Pastor Mickey, he said, those people in the building are my sheep. How can the shepherd hide when the sheep are as in much danger as the shepherd? He said, I can't do that. He said, this is my place. He said, but would you please promise me? Would you please promise me that the church will take care of my wife always?
Wow.
Will you promise me that my wife will be seen after? This is my place. I mean, there's nothing to say to that.
No.
That mob of people that's doing all of this stuff now, their sight is on the church building, and they came to the church building. A mob of people with crude, different type of weapons, and they're asking for the people. And of course, we're not going to let them do that. Now, the leader of these mobs, understand, the leaders were pastors of churches in the area.
Oh,
Wow.
The head Presbyterian elder of that church right next to us is one of the leaders.
and that's literally right next to
Literally within feet of our property line. Another was the Anglican priest of the church down the road. See, because at this point in time, tribe is the most important thing. And when they came to the building, our men met them. And in essence, our men said, listen, this is our church. These are our church members. This is our pastor. We can't allow this. And again, if I could say that those people were kind of taken back a little bit because tribe was supposed to be more important. And it is.
So they're talking to fellow tribe
They're talking to
members.
fellow tribesmen. And it is more important. But see, when you get saved, you belong to a different
Right.
tribe.
Amen.
And that's, I think, a testimony to, Christianity versus being
Yes.
a Presbyterian, or, the fact that a lot of times they're relying on the religion, and they don't have the same convictions or the same standards that we have, because our Heavenly Father makes us we have that common
Absolutely.
core with our Heavenly Father, and that's
Absolutely. And, I can say that if I can interject this here, with all this violence and stuff going around, not one of our church members was involved in it.
Amen.
Every one of them stayed out of it. So now you have this going on, and things are as intense as they ever were. There was a point where different news stations from all over the world, now again, they're broadcasting this all over the world. It's on the news. It's big news. Okay, the United States had great interest in what's going on. Somalia borders Kenya.
Okay.
Muslims have said in Somalia, okay, their goal is to take over Kenya because it's the economic powerhouse of East Africa, and there's a vested interest in Western powers for Kenya to be stable. And so as all this is building up, and really before all the violence started in Nakuru, I actually went to the ambassador's house, the American ambassador, for a meeting, okay, that he called. And when I was in that meeting with the ambassador, this was before it erupted in Nakuru. It was going on other places. He told me himself that Condoleezza Rice, who was the Secretary of State at that time, told the Kenyan leaders, you fix this, or we will come fix it for you. That's the interest that they had. Okay. And so because of that, and this is just going on all over the world, and Sky News from the UK set their news truck up outside the gate to our house, and they're broadcasting live to the world as buildings are burning and this is going on, and that's why they're showing this. And my family's watching the news, and they're like, hey, wait a minute, that's right outside our house.
Wow.
And so that's how intense it was.
And that market, once again, right across
Yes,
the street.
right.
And your family right in the heart of it all.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, give me kind of an idea of how old your children would be at this time.
My son was 13, so my oldest would have been 17, 15, 13, 9, and 6.
Wow, just something that you would wish for your children probably never to see or experience, but you know, God divinely put you there for that time, for that purpose. And as we continue down the story, you know, we're going to take a break here, but as we continue down the story, we know that it gets better, and God begins to answer some, you know, prayers in a unique way. But we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back here in just a few minutes, and we'll finish the rest of the story.